Senate suspends plenary after debate ahead of budget defense by ministries, departments and agencies. Gunmen killed 7 in fresh attack on Mangu local government of Plateau State. FG frees 150 inmates in Kano. On the foreign scene, day-long extension of Israel-Hamas truce agreed. Hello and welcome to the News Hour on Trust TV. I am Ayuba Ila. Thanks for joining. As the Senate begins debates on the general principles of the 2024 appropriation bill before the National Assembly, lawmakers have continued to express different opinions. Christened Budget of Renewed Hope, the 2024 fiscal document is expected to address critical areas of the nation's economy. The report.
The leader of the Senate, Bamidele Okpeyemi, who made the announcement, said the upper chamber would also sit on Friday in addition to its usual sitting on Thursday in order to accelerate debate on the budget. The decision is to ensure the work is concluded on the budget early enough in readiness for presidential assent before January 2024, when the budget implementation is billed to commence.
Thursday, 30th and Friday, the 1st of December, to the debate of the general principles of the budget of the appropriation bill 2024, and after that we will adjourn, for the number of days as will be agreed, in plenary, to allow different committees take on ministries, departments, and agencies who will be coming to defend, their budget estimates.
Looking at where we are coming from, it looks promising and to some extent fulfilling if everything, all the I's will be dotted and the T's be crossed. But for me, we should go beyond this.
The president did today, I think he has rekindled hope for Nigerians, because we have never had it so good in the budget presentation where the capital expenditure has been risen to about 8 trillion. And you can see the deficit and debt servicing, though the deficit have increased, but the debt servicing have reduced. And we are also looking at the position of making the dollar about 750 instead of 700, which means we are going to get more revenue from that.
We need to have a budget that will be meaningful to the well-being of the people at the end of the day. That is what matters. It's not about 24 trillion naira or how many billions of dollars. That's not what the common man in the street wants to hear. He wants to hear how this will impact on him or her life.
We received the budget that has been tagged the budget of renewed hope. The president has submitted a budget size of 27.5 trillion, and for the first time he has also told the whole world that he has a budget whose deficit is going down and the capital spending is going up. By that, it shows that for the first time we are having a paradigm shift of what we used to have in the past to that is new, and we want to believe that this is a trend that will continue into a foreseeable future for the next 4 years, so that Nigeria can witness for the first time a government who have lessened its borrowing and also taking up its capital expenditure.
Senate President Godswill Akpabio, in his remarks, urged his colleagues to take the budget defense as a matter of national urgent importance, as it is designed to address the sufferings of the Nigerian people. Rashidat Yusuf for Trust TV News.
In the meantime, the Senate has announced the suspension of plenary for 2 weeks. This is to allow lawmakers concentrate on the 2024 budget defense by ministries, departments and agencies of government. The report.
On Thursday, the first of 2 days set aside for deliberations on the second reading of the appropriation bill, the senators for hours discussed the modalities of the budget. Leading the debate on the general principles of the budget, Senate Majority Leader Okpeyemi Bamidele said the proposal is intended to further place the country's economy on the path of inclusive and sustainable economic development.
It is important, above all, to know that this is a budget of renewed hope, which seeks to achieve job-rich economic growth, macroeconomic stability, a better investment environment, enhanced human capital development, as well as poverty reduction and greater access to social security.
The debate has senators drawing the attention of the executive to certain grey areas of the appropriation bill which needs some adjustments.
I want to emphasize on the fact that how do we fund this? The bitumen global market is $147 billion. Only 9 countries are participating. Mr. Senate President, Nigeria, by geophysics data of the World Bank, is the second largest depositor of bitumen in the world. In those states alone, $47 billion bitumen is deposited there.
I would like to have the House know that I look forward to interacting with the Honorable Minister of Steel to know how much of this, of the 30% of 27.5 trillion, how much of it he's able to have captured the rehabilitation again of Ajakuta Steel Company and the Niamco iron ore plant.
My own advice is that we have to, as a matter of urgency, deliberately ensure that our oil production does not decline again.
Debate on the appropriation bill continues tomorrow, Friday. In another development, the Nigerian Senate has strongly condemned all forms of violence against women and the girl child, emphasizing the need for more robust measures to safeguard their interests. This position was articulated during Thursday's plenary, where senators actively participated in the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence on women and the girl child. The advocacy motion was sponsored by 16 senators, led by Senator Ireti Kingibe, representing the Federal Capital Territory.
Since the launch of the National Gender-Based Data Room and Dashboard, over 28,000 cases of gender-based violence have been reported nationwide. In all these reported cases, over 9,000 have been opened against offenders, while over 8,000 are still pending in various courts.
Voicing their support to the motion, Senators Adams Oshomole, Natasha Akpoti, and Abdul Lingi, among others, acknowledged the virtues and sacrifices made by women globally, with specific emphasis on those in Nigeria.
I think we just be doing justice to the foundation of our own, of our system, by not only passing motions like the UN is doing without teeth to bite. We should pass laws with appropriate tools and encourage the police to enforce those laws.
Nigerian women, just like women across Africa and the world, have suffered greatly, not only in the hands of our fellow men, but sometimes even women, sometimes even in organizations where we work. And therefore, I'd lend my voice in calling for a stop.
It is always important. It takes two to tango. The women folk also must, at every given time, know their position in society. You men, as they listen, to also rise to the occasion. They are human beings like every other of us.
In concluding the debate before the motion was passed, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio declared that the violence against women and girl child must be completely condemned.
I thank all of us for your contributions and urge that God Almighty will give all of us the wisdom to protect the women and protect the girl child. May we rise to observe a minute silence in honor of those who have been brutally murdered as a result of violence against women and the girl child.
A minute silence was thereafter observed to honor the memory of all women and individuals who lost their lives to violence. Rashidat Yusuf for Trust TV News.
The Ondo State House of Assembly and its Speaker have withdrawn its appeal filed before the Court of Appeal, Abuja, against the ruling of the Federal High Court Abuja, which stopped the planned impeachment of the Ondo State Deputy Governor, Lucky Aiyedatiwa. Now, the Ondo State House of Assembly and its Speaker had challenged the jurisdiction of the Federal High Court, Abuja, to handle the matter and appealed against the court's ruling halting the planned impeachment of the Deputy Governor. At Thursday's proceedings, counsel for the Speaker and the Assembly, Remi Olatobura, told the three-member panel of justices of the appellate court that he has the instructions of his clients to withdraw the appeal. The senior lawyer told the court that parties in the matter have found a political solution to their problems and have signed an agreement to withdraw the appeal. According to Olatobura, the appeal is being withdrawn in the interest of peace and as part of the agreement reached by the parties. On security matters, gunmen have killed 7 people after reportedly attacking 2 communities in Plateau State. The victims were said to have died following attacks by assailants in Puka and Pimpa communities of Mungu local government area of the state in the early hours of Thursday. It was learned that while 6 men and a lady were killed in Puka community, the gunmen stole sheep and other domestic animals in Pimpa community. A resident of Puka community, John Mark, confirmed the killings in Jos on Thursday. Mark, who condemned the attack, said that the incident had been reported to security operatives. Residents of Yola, the Adamawa state capital, have advocated the need for security agencies to find a formal way of resolving disagreements instead of resorting to confrontation. They, however, queried the Inspector General of Police alongside the Chief of Army Staff over the recent clash of their men that led to the loss of lives and injuries to personnel in the state capital. Salis Lawan report.
The last week invasion of the police quarter guard by soldiers left one Inspector Jacob Daniel dead. The army had accused policemen of shooting and injuring a soldier at a checking point and also taking the injured soldier away, thereby sparking a conflict between soldiers and policemen in the state on Wednesday. The incident left residents worried that if those responsible for protecting their lives and property could engage in such confrontation, there was no guarantee that ordinary citizens were safe.
It is indeed not a welcome idea to find gentlemen, respected military officers behaving this way. It is also unexpected of a police officer to shoot a colleague. But look at the circumstances that happened. Our hearts bleed for our dear state Adamawa, and if this thing continues in Nigeria, the respect we have for this institution will come down. And we expect that in civilized societies the world over, security forces have a very excellent synergy. And that's what they call themselves, esprit de corps. We expect that nothing like this can happen. I cannot see tanks moving from a barrack to a police headquarters simply because you have one incident.
Even though the matter was quickly addressed by the state government to avoid further loss of lives and properties, this entire episode may not have gone well in the eyes of those at the highest level of authority.
It's unfortunate that it has happened. Otherwise, the team spirit and the collaboration, the joint patrol that the police in the state and the army have been having was so cordial. That is why Adamawa State today is one of the safest states in the northern Nigeria, or I could say even in Nigeria.
This incident should not demoralize our officers. We are not at war with any agency of government. What happened, happened, and I know that the military authorities are also not happy with it. I don't want this to dampen your spirit. Please go about your normal duties.
They condemned the attack and called for calm among security personnel to ensure peace and development in the state.
The Nigerian army to be clean, the police to be clean, and our society will be clean. So long as we continue looking down on each other, we cannot. This country, we cannot succeed by give and take. There is no section that is superior to the other. So I want to believe that, please, let us respect ourselves. And the tenet of democracy is respect for one another, making sure that your life, your territory where you walk is as important as the other person's territory. If you don't respect his own territory, he will never love you. And I want to believe that without unity, this country will be in pieces. So if our security forces are not united, then trouble awaits us.
While normalcy has since returned to the state, residents have been urged to continue with their normal activities and not to be discouraged by the incident. Salis Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
The chairman of Taraba Hunters Association, Adamu Antala, has raised alarm that over 300 bandits have surrounded Jalingo, the Taraba state capital. He said that the bandits came to the state from Zamfara, Bauchi and other states and were responsible for killings and kidnappings in farming communities across the state as well as in some parts of Jalingo metropolis. Dantala stated further that the bandits have killed over 22 hunters and injured many others during face-to-face confrontations. According to him, on Tuesday, the bandits who have superior firepower had killed 18 hunters in Bali local government area alone. He revealed that although the hunters were very courageous, they, however, lacked the sophisticated weapons to fully engage the bandits. The chairman therefore called on Taraba state government to arm the hunters and also provide financial support to them to enable them to do their best in confronting banditry across communities in the state. The Senate has called on the Federal Ministry of Education and the National Universities Commission to prioritize the issue of accommodation of female students on campus to guard against abduction. The resolution was taken on Thursday as part of moves to show solidarity with Nigerian women on this year's 16 days of advocacy for the elimination of violence against women. The lawmakers also urged the Nigerian police to strengthen the prosecution process of perpetrators of gender-based violence to pave the way for the conviction. Additionally, the Senate resolved that the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons undertake a continuous review of the existing policies and laws on gender-based violence to accommodate best practices and strategies. The police in Delta State have arrested 8 suspected kidnappers accused of kidnapping of a 43-year-old woman. The police said that they have also foiled a planned kidnapping by the same gang at Shell Road in Sapele local government area of the state. This was disclosed in a statement signed by the State Police Public Relations Officer, PPRO DSP Bright Edafe, on Thursday in Asaba. According to Edafe, the suspects, who have all confessed to the crime and admitted their various roles, have been identified by the victim. A Kwara State High Court sitting in Ilorin, the state capital, has sentenced the Sarkin Fulani of Kwara, Usman Adamu, his brother, and one Gidado Idris to life imprisonment for conspiracy to kidnap and kidnapping. The convicts were accused of abducting one Abubakar Ahmad and allegedly collecting a ransom of 1 million naira before his eventual release after spending 20 days in captivity. The kidnap incident happened in the middle of last year. In her judgment, Justice Adenike Akinpelu said that the trio all agreed to committing the crime, adding that whether they were physically present at the kidnap scene was immaterial. She said that the convicts supposedly arrested their victim, claiming that he was a kidnap suspect to extort money from him.
They kidnapped a man, one Abu. He was kidnapped and after he's kidnapped, he was taken to Sobi barracks. So the defendants here, they are parties to how the ransom was collected and paid. So in fact, they even share from the proceeds of that ransom. So the main accused, who is a military officer, is nowhere to be found. So I'm sure the state is still trailing him. But the other people who benefited from that act of kidnapping by sharing the money, they have his contact. In fact, one of them collected he sent his account number to one of the defendants today, the convict today. He sent his account number to them. It was at the point of paying to his account at the POS point that he was snapped by the officers of DSS.
A Jigawa State High Court sitting in Dutse and presided by Justice Muhammad Abubakar Sambo on Wednesday convicted and sentenced Isa Haruna, of Gwaram Sabwa, to life imprisonment for sodomy. The convict was earlier arraigned before the court on the 2nd of May 2023 on a charge of rape, contrary to Section 3 of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law 2021 of the Jigawa State. The convict was said to have lured a 14-year-old boy to a shopping plaza at Gwaram Sabwa of Gwaram local government area, where he had anal intercourse with him. The presiding judge, Justice Sambo, ruled that the prosecution had proved all the ingredients of the offense of sodomy against the defendant and consequently convicted and sentenced him to life imprisonment. In a similar verdict, a high court sitting at Birnin Kudu and presided over by Justice Musa Ubali on Wednesday convicted and sentenced one Ibrahim Sani of Kiako Village, Birnin Kudu local government area, to life imprisonment for sodomy. He was alleged to have sodomized 6 boys aged between 11 to 16. You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up shortly, Makurdi residents adopt desperate measures for survival. Details and more after the break.
We started manufacturing leather since 1958. But the most important thing is that if the system is checked correctly, we won't have where we are now.
If somebody has depression, they may just be very irritable and unproductive in the office. So you find on average already about 1 in 4, 1 in 5 Nigerians already have a mental illness, a mental health condition that needs some form of attention.
No matter how good an economy is, if the federal government goes bust, believe me, everything in the economy is just a matter of time it will go bust. So first of all, about maybe slightly above, below 70% is in federal government securities.
If government has banned importation of fertilizer and states are doing it at the level of governance, but I believe that production and distribution of fertilizer should be left to the private sector.
This is the general multi-purpose card and it has a chip here. So this chip is about 80 kilobytes. The one that you get from the bank for ATM is just 4 kilobytes. So this is like 20 times.
The famed giant of Africa is battling an identity crisis with severe economic downturn.
We have seen during Shagari, fall of Naira, but Babangida's time was historic. It was unprecedented.
All Nigerians. The Nigerian economy has been in steady decline. No growth and a sharp drop in production makes matters worse.
The more you push your economy to get integrated into the global market economies, the more you increase the use of dollar.
How did we get here?
We have been working every nook and cranny, running helter-skelter, trying to seek dollar so that we can also meet with the demand of our people.
And the same Nigerians will turn around and say, CBN should supply dollar into the market, or government should supply. Where are you going to supply from?
As the value of the naira plummets, is obsessive comparison with the dollar helping matters?
Once people believe that the currency cannot retain its value, they find alternative ways of savings.
Why is the naira on a free fall? And what are the solutions? Journey with us back in time to where it all began.
Welcome back. You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Senate suspends plenary after debate ahead of budget defense by ministries, departments and agencies. Plus, gunmen kill 7 in fresh attack on Mangu local government area of Plateau State. In other news, the federal government has released 150 inmates sentenced to various terms of imprisonment with the option of fine or compensation in custodial centers in Kano State out of the 4,068 nationwide. The Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunjiojo, while flagging off the exercise at the Kano Maximum Security Custodial Center, says the pardon is in a bid to decongest custodial centers and make them humane for proper reformation and rehabilitation of offenders to take place. Trust TV correspondent Idris Debrin reports that 13.4 million naira has been spent for the release of inmates in Kano alone.
These are inmates who were convicted and sentenced for various minor crimes, most of whom were on the verge of their freedom and are indigent who cannot afford to pay their fines. According to the Interior Minister, the sum of 585 million naira was raised by philanthropists, individual groups and corporate bodies as part of their social responsibility for this purpose nationwide, out of which the sum of 13,436,780,000 naira was spent in Kano State.
As we all know, custodial centers nationwide are congested. The federal government, therefore, recently launched a program aimed at reducing custodial centers congestion. This initiative, through fire fed and compensation, has already made a significant impact on the lives of various inmates across the country.
Releasing these prisoners, according to authorities, is in line with President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, which include giving hope to benefiting inmates to get back on track and contribute to the ongoing development of the nation.
4,068 inmates are being granted their freedom through payment of fines, and among them, we here in Kano proudly recognize the release of 150 inmates who can now rejoice in their reunion with their loved ones.
For the Interior Ministry, the inmates are required to see this as a second chance to make things right by keeping away from all forms of criminal activities.
The idea is just to renew the hope of being hopeless, who don't know that they can get this kind of thing, just extending the gesture of the president in renewing the hope and their hope for life again. So to bring them out, integrate them back to the society, and so that they enjoy freedom and life with all of us.
With the massive congestion of the custodial centers nationwide, the federal government is therefore advised to sustain this compensation program as a way of reducing prison congestion across the country. Idris Jubrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
The FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, has presented a supplementary budget for the FCT before the Senate and House of Representatives committees of the National Assembly. The budget, which is for the 2023 fiscal year, is to the tune of 61 billion naira. Habibat Ajayi reports.
The FCT minister, while defending the 2023 statutory supplementary budget before the National Assembly committees, called on them to give it expeditious approval and promised that the FCT will witness the commissioning of several projects next year.
The FCT 2023 supplementary statutory budget proposal submitted by the Presidency, which was read on the 28th November 2023 at the sitting of the Senate, and the same data was transmitted to the Committee on FCT for further legislative action.
The Speaker of the House, tinubu, read a letter from the President and Commander-in-Chief requesting the House to approve a supplementary statutory budget of FCT to the tune of 61 billion. The committee decided to invite you with your team to give us details and why these monies should be domiciled to the agencies under you for utilization.
Recollect that sometimes ago, as the President presented supplementary budget, which FCT under the national budget was given 100 billion. Mr. Chairman, if you look at that document, we did specify what that 100 billion will be used for. One of such is the metro line, security, and of course, provide infrastructure among the 6 area councils.
The minister further clarified the FCT 2023 supplementary budget differs from the national supplementary budget presented by President Bola Tinubu, where the sum of 100 billion naira was allocated to the FCT to carry out national projects like the metro line and some other road projects. In another development, the FCT minister Nyesom Wike has directed the Federal Capital Development Authority to provide infrastructures in areas earmarked for the construction of residential buildings for judges in Katampe, noting that the construction will not commence without the necessary infrastructure.
We went to Katampe area where we are trying to provide, you remember we said we are going to build accommodation for the judges of the Federal High Court. We also did say we are going to build for judges of the FCT High Court, and we're also going to build for the justices of the Court of Appeal of Abuja Division. And as part of it, we have to go and see the site, and we found out that the infrastructure is yet to be provided, and which has made us to direct the FCT to quickly see that we provide the infrastructure so that we can start the residential buildings.
The minister noted that the projects will be funded by the internally generated revenue and funds from the financial institutions. Habibat Ajayi, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule will Friday, December 1, present the 2024 budget before members of the State House of Assembly. A statement signed by the acting Speaker, Nasarawa State House of Assembly, Abel Yakubu Bala, indicated that the budget presentation by the Governor Sule is scheduled for 10 a.m. at the Assembly complex. The statement urged all the members of the House to attend the sitting unfailingly, just as it invites all government functionaries, stakeholders and friends of the Assembly to witness the budget presentation. The statement, however, added that all clerks at table and other chamber staff are expected to be on hand and make all necessary arrangements for the constitutional exercise. The Nigerian Defense Academy has rejected over 30,000 applicants who applied as cadets of the 75th regular course of the prestigious military institution. NDA Commandant Major General John Ochai, who made the disclosure at the matriculation of 441 cadets into the various degree programs as members of the 75th regular course of the NDA, said that 441 cadets, including one allied student from the Gambia, were selected after a competitive screening exercise. He explained that the selection of just 441 cadets out of the over 30,000 applicants underscored how the academy prioritized competence and compliance with international best standards. Addressing the matriculating cadets, the commandant enjoined them to always remain resolute and uphold the tenets of self-discipline and resilience throughout their training. The 35 Artillery Brigade of the Nigerian Army has commissioned a borehole powered by solar at Alamala community in Abeokuta. The brigade commander, Brigadier General Muhammad Aminu, while commissioning the project on Thursday, said that the brigade identified issues related to water supply as part of the major challenges facing its neighboring community. Abbas Ibrahim Dalibi reports.
Community in Abeokuta, it was a joy and celebration as the 35 Artillery Brigade commissioned a solar-powered borehole, the first of its kind in the community. Aminat Zakaria, a member of the community, disclosed that they have been waiting for a borehole in their community for a very long time due to the difficulties they have been facing with regards to potable water supply in the area.
Thank God. I thank our commander, because this thing we are waiting for since. We thank God because this season we are suffering for water. By rainy season we see water, but this dry season now we are suffer for it. But we thank God and we thank our commander. God bless him. Everybody for this our community is benefit, and we thank him. We thank God for him.
The community leader, Chief Akimadi, the Bale of Alamala community, disclosed that the project will ease the daily lives of members of the community.
We have a cordial relationship and they did well, and this commander have did well too. We appreciate him.
The commander, 35th Artillery Brigade, Brigadier General Muhammad Aminu, disclosed that the brigade executed the project after identifying that water supply was a critical need for the community.
Project is part of the brigade's civil military cooperation activity, and you know, what we try to do is to try and give back to the society. And with this, you know, it's not only the brigade, but it's an activity that is being conducted at Army headquarters level, division level, also at the brigade, and also at unit level.
He urged the community to utilize the project for the maximum benefit of all. Abbas Ibrahim Alibi, Trust TV, Lagos.
The people of Jigawa State have been advised to redouble effort by giving their maximum cooperation to the Nigerian police force as partners to stem the tide of criminals and criminality across the state. The newly posted Commissioner of Police, Ahmed Tijani Abdullahi, stated this at the maiden press briefing held at the State Command. Headquarters Duze, Trust TV's Adamu Imam was there.
Recently, Duze, the state capital, came under attack from kidnappers and armed robbery. Herders and farmers' dispute is resurfacing within many rural communities of the state. Ahmed Abdullahi is the new Commissioner of Police deployed to the state. He expressed his readiness to fight against all forms of criminality. He urged officers and men of the command to tighten their belt for community style of policing.
Philosophy of community policing, constant engagement with them, constant engagement with relevant stakeholders, so that we sensitize them, enlighten them on how to live in harmony, and also if there is any problem, they should not take law into their hands or take to violence, but they should just inform either the security agencies or the committee, because we are going to work hand in hand with the committee. I believe this will go a long way in solving this village in these areas. Thank you.
Abdullahi added that despite Jigawa having relative peace, a lot needs to be done to sustain the tempo.
I will embark on tour very soon. I will place their offices, respective offices, to pay them homage, to pay them a courtesy call, to solicit for their cooperation, synergy, and all other things that will make Jigawa State greater and peaceful place to live.
It could be recalled that the state governor recently pledged total commitment and support to the security agencies. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Jigawa.
The chairman and chief executive officer of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Buba Marwa, has warned that there will be no room for internal sabotage in the renewed war against substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking in the country. Marwa gave the warning in his remarks on Thursday at the passing out ceremony of an additional 2,500 cadets of Senior Officers Basic Course 16 at the NDLEA Academy, Jos. Ado Musa reports.
Marwa, who was represented by the Deputy Commander General of Narcotics and Director, Planning, Research and Statistics of the agency, Victoria Ebache, while reminding the gathering that the engagement of the new officers is to complete the additional 5,000 personnel need in the NDLEA workforce, called on the new cadet to be mindful of the tasks ahead them in order to make positive impact in the agency. According to the chairman, within 30 years of the agency, the world of illicit drugs had become complex and more devastating to society. He added that the dynamics of the Nigerian drug situation had become more dire. Hence, in January 2021, the NDLEA was handed a lifeline to rejig its structure and improve its system to counter contemporary drug problems.
Prepare your mind for the task ahead. The duties are such that there is no room for compromising the ethics of your profession and subverting the goals of the organization. In our renewed campaign against illicit drugs, we are at a stage of ramped-up interdiction against cannabis, opiate, and other psychoactive substances. We cannot afford to decelerate our efforts, and we will not tolerate sabotage from within.
The Chairman House Committee on Narcotics, Abbas Adegun, speaks on the need for the country to strengthen the agency in order to eradicate illicit drugs in the country.
We have a standing bill now that we put before the House. We hope the President will assent to it. That law will come with a lot of discipline and a lot of penalty for people that do the hard drugs. Even you that are smoking under the marijuana, there's a lot of penalty on it. We will try from National Assembly to support. Like I say, we are here to give them the law to support them and able to finance them doing their budget. So that's our job. The agency have everything in places. One of it is to employ more personnel so they are able to capture every corner of our country.
The agency further emphasized that in their effort to ensure a free drug society, they are currently on the verge of expanding their presence to all 774 local government areas in the country. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Stakeholders have advocated the need for equal participation of women and men in decision-making on key issues affecting the society. According to them, investment in women's empowerment is vital for securing sustainable economic growth and other development objectives. In this report, Zainab Karae speaks to Nigerian women on how improved inclusivity for women entrepreneurs in Nigeria can be achieved.
According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the overall number of persons in the labor force is 80 million, out of which males are 41.6 million and females are 38.6 million. Nigerian women entrepreneurs operate in an unfavorable business environment characterized by various challenges ranging from infrastructural deficiencies, corruption, low access to credit, and weak institutions. Hence, the need for government at all levels to provide incentives for women to make them more efficient.
I'll say on a scale of 1 to 2, it's 1 to 10, it's a 2, because we were really backwards when it comes to business, and I feel that we can do more.
Women are really having poor access to information, poor access to finance. It's true, but the thing is, information now is people are really coming up with new campaigns. Government are really supporting women initiatives, and there are so many empowerment programs out there. But are the women aware of these empowerment programs? Like this morning, I spoke about the NKS grants, and everybody is eligible to this grant as long as you're running a business in Abuja. We have an app where even if you're in Kwali or you're in Abaji area council as a rural woman, you can ask your school child to help you apply for this money. But these people are not aware of this information, and so the money keeps recycling among same people. I got the money, I'm telling a family friend to go and apply and get the money, and it's not reaching to the people that it's supposed to go down to. So information is vital here, and I think government will also step up in providing information to people about these new programs, initiatives that can really empower the woman.
Empowering women, stakeholders say, is essential to the health and social development of families, communities, and countries. According to them, when women live safe, fulfilled, and productive lives, they can reach their full potentials, contribute to the workforce, and raise happier and healthier children. Zainab Araye, Trust TV News, Abuja.
With the present cost of premium motor spirit between 640 and 700 naira in Makurdi, the consequent rise in transportation fares, Makurdi residents said that the traveling from one destination to another has become a luxury. Now, to survive the situation, they have adopted some basic strategies. Jimmy Azandi tells us more.
At the motor parks, there's a lack of the usual movement of passengers. The residents explain that most of them travel out only when it becomes unavoidable. One of the strategies they said is delivering goods through Wellbe, which to them is more affordable.
The Wellbe we do at the rate of 2,000 naira, 3,000 naira, now they are charging us 6,000 naira, 7,000 naira, which is abnormal. When you are to transport from your house to the park, you will pay huge amount of money. Transport of 100 naira now is 200 naira. Some people like me now, I do pay 150 to come down here on bike, but today I paid 250 naira to come down here. So the situation is not that easy, but I believe gradually things will get better.
Then from Ogene to Makurdi, before they were collecting 3,005 before, but yesterday was 7,000. So everything was double. So people are getting it too hard. So the country, I don't know where we are heading to.
It is 6 months since the fuel subsidy removal crisis began. Some of the residents are yet to come to terms with the realities.
Actually, I came here thinking that it's the usual price I do take home. But all of a sudden, I was shocked to discover that it's almost ×2 of the normal price, and the money I'm holding here with me is not more up to the amount they are calling me. So I'm just so stranded right now.
Transport company owners are lamenting poor patronage, which they said is a threat to their businesses.
Before now, our transport fare was 8,000, and we could balance well with the price of 8,000. But since the subsidy removal, it has become difficult. This time is a very difficult time for passengers and company owners.
Even with some cut down on transport fare by the state-owned Benue Links, residents told Trust TV that the usual movement in the Yuletide season should not be expected this year. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
Now time to take a look at business updates with Chamon Dabeng.
The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission (NUPRC) has given Chevron 2 weeks to resolve the community dispute in Warri South. The host community's trust fund's establishment and name are at the center of the controversy. NUPRC, while emphasizing the need for a prompt and equitable resolution, pleaded with Chevron and the affected communities to settle their differences amicably. Disagreements between Chevron and communities of Ogbororo, Ugbegugun, and Dembele in Warri South local government are at the root of the conflict. These communities disagree over the name and composition of the host community trust fund's board of trustees. Communities around Escravos Terminal staged protests accusing Chevron of violating the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. The federal government of Nigeria and the U.S. government are in early talks of financing mining companies and infrastructure in Nigeria. The U.S. Assistant Secretary for Energy and Natural Resources, Jeffrey Pratt, disclosed this during a discussion at the Mines and Money Conference in London. Nigeria's Mines and Steel Development Minister Dele Alake stated that authorities from both Nigeria and the United States will form a cooperative team. Although Pratt pointed out that the U.S. has a number of laws and institutions that promoted foreign direct investment, he said he would alert the agencies to work with their Nigerian counterparts to develop the framework. The House of Representatives Committee on NDDC has been informed that the organization is owed more than 2 trillion naira. Sam Ogbuku, the managing director of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, who disclosed this, said that the sum reflects 15% of the 9 states' unpaid share of the Niger Delta region's allocation since 2000. Ogbuku pointed out that the NDDC has not yet received funding, even though the budgets for 2021, 2022, and 2023 were passed. He therefore implored the legislators to assist in resolving the problems. Chiedu Ebie, the chairman of the NDDC board, gave the lawmakers his word that they will continue to have cordial interactions with them and collaborate as a team to positively frame the commission's reputation. That's all for Business News. I am Chamun Dabeng.
Away from Nigeria, a truce between Israel and Hamas was extended on Thursday, just before it was due to expire. The two sides announced, with mediator Qatar reporting it will continue for 1 day under the same conditions that saw hostages released in exchange for prisoners. Minutes before the halt in fighting was due to expire at 500 GMT, Israel's military said that the truce will be prolonged. Now, Hamas said that there was an agreement to extend the truce for a 7th day without further details. It had earlier said that Israel initially refused to extend the truce after it offered to hand over 7 hostages and bodies of 3 more. Qatar, which has led the truce negotiations supported by Egypt and the United States, confirmed the pause had been extended for a day under the same previous conditions. In sports news, the Super Falcons completely outplayed their counterparts from Cape Verde to hit 5 goals in the first leg of their 2024 Women Africa Cup of Nations final round qualifying fixture in Abuja on Thursday. Uchenna Kanu with a first half brace and substitutes Esther Okoronkwo with a second half brace swept the 9-time African champions into a comfortable lead in the fixture. Gift Monday scored in the 25th minute to add to the tally, while midfielder Deborah Abiodun, whose sweet touches were a delight, came close with a 25-yard volley on the half mark. Kanu scored against just before the break, making no mistake from a pass from Tony Pane on Tony Penny on a counter-attack. And that's a wrap on the news update. You can watch more via all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for watching.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.